The subject of the conference is Bitcoin for corporations. We had some really good content yesterday, and we covered accounting and legal and strategy considerations and macro considerations. And we had, I don't know, 6,000 people on our session. Nearly broke the internet for us. But I think that some of those things have streamed out to 30 or 40,000 people in the last few hours. So I think what's on everybody's mind is, I'm a corporation, I'm interested in Bitcoin, how do I get started? And of course, Binance is the top of the program. So Vince, tell us about your company and its background and employees and backers, and what else do we need to know?
Sure. So Binance is the largest cryptocurrency exchange in the world by both spot and futures volume. We do about $15 to $20 billion a day on the spot side and about $35 to $40 billion a day on the future side. All-time high volumes on a single day was about $100 billion, and we achieved this earlier this year. Just to give you a sense of what this means, on the spot side, we're about 3 times the volume of our nearest competitor, and on the future side, we're almost 40% of the global futures volume. The company itself started in late 2017. So we're about 3.5 years old with 1,600 employees. I think we're one of the most globally distributed teams in the industry, with staff over 50 different countries and regions. And because of our setup, we're actually quite lucky, and we embraced the decentralization well before COVID. So when the pandemic happened, we're actually quite well positioned to support the surge in this crypto interest with minimal disruption.
How do you compare your firm to other vendors in the space? Do you have any particular specialties?
Yeah, so as the largest exchange, what you'll get with us is the best liquidity and volume in the industry, whether it's for Bitcoin, Ethereum, or other altcoins. And in fact, most other vendors, such as OTC firms and traders, do end up hedging their flows on Binance. So in a way, you can see us as the aggregator of liquidity in the industry. And what that means for our clients is connecting to us means you're connecting directly to the source. And of course, there are obvious cost benefits there. So even though we started as a simple exchange, we're actually now much more than that. We've grown into one of the largest ecosystems in the industry. I like to use Google as an analogy, where they started in search and they excelled in that space. And later they created a host of other products, Gmail, Maps, and also gave it on Android. Similarly, our core strength lies in the spot and futures exchanges. But then since then, we've also built out many products around that. Each client's situation is different. I mean, I guess I'll get into some of the products in a little bit, but in general, each client's situation is different. And so not everything is applicable to everyone. But I think that we have enough products and services under one roof. So it essentially makes it very easy for clients to come in and for us to, once we understand their needs, to show them which products and services would be applicable and good for them. And that way they can just plug in and start using the new features right away.
Okay, so like on that subject, what kind of Bitcoin-related products and services do you offer for corporations? Like, do you have brokerage or custody or funds or banking or derivatives or gateways or APIs or something else?
Right, it's a great question. So corporates is actually a very diverse group. Even among the audience here, I'm sure there are many different types of institutions with very different needs. So instead of a one-size-fits-all solution, we aim to have something that suits everyone's custom needs. For instance, for general corporates, funds, and buy and hold investors who want to accumulate, let's say, a substantial amount of Bitcoin without moving markets, we have the OTC block trading desk. What it is a white glove service where we have a dedicated professional to walk you through every step of the way, through onboarding, how to move fiat in, best ways to accumulate the position that you want, and also what to do with with your assets afterwards. For those of you who are a little bit more experienced and prefer to pull the trigger yourself, shall we say, we have an online OTC portal, so that allows you to conduct these block trades yourselves. You can check your own prices and trade during your own time. For professional investors, We have what is essentially like a prime brokerage solution. We offer crypto borrow, margin trading, and lending services, which is currently used by many of our professional trading clients. For corporate partners, people like vendors and merchants, they can get connected to our Binance's API, which is currently used by hundreds of vendors and B2C clients. So the benefit of working with us, a reliable B2B service provider, is that it can give you the peace of mind that our platform will be stable, and that that allows you to essentially focus on running and growing your business, and leave the rest of the work to us. Also, just earlier this week, our CEO, CV, announced a new product, Binance Pay, which is a borderless and secure payments platform that allows merchants to take crypto payments from their clients and receive stablecoins and fiat on their side. So this is another tool, hopefully, that can allow vendors to then quickly plug in and support cryptocurrency payments for their clients.
Binance Pay, really exciting.
That's right. That's right. We're expecting great things on that as well. On the corporation side, for those of you who are looking for treasury management solutions, most people don't want to sit on dead cash or in assets. They want to always earn a bit of carry on the assets, right? So for that, we have the Binance Earn product, which is essentially a platform where you can get yield enhancement on your cryptocurrency assets. It is a bit like a savings platform, as you mentioned earlier, where users and clients can deposit their coins and earn an interest on top of that. The beauty of this is that you can also take it out at any time. And if you do want to trade your coins, then it's very easy. With a few clicks of the button, you can take it out and immediately it's on the exchange and you can trade it right away. For those who are looking for hedging solutions, there's a few options. So you can trade it on, you can hedge via futures on our futures platform, as I explained earlier. And we also launched our options platform late last year, and so that is running pretty well as well.
Wow. Okay. A lot of products. Tell me about your customer base, like especially your corporate clients.
Sure. Our customer base is very international, and it spans over 180 countries and regions. So historically, the crypto space has been led by retail demand. And so that naturally, retail is a key demographic for the industry, and it's no different for us. And on the corporate client side, what this means is we started mostly with a B2B solution, right, working with vendors and other B2C partners who would then have their own client base. This formed a significant part of our corporate client base at the beginning. And also amongst the early corporate adopters are some of the more nimble institutional traders, some of whom have been trading with us pretty much since the first days of Binance. But of course, in the last 12 months, the crypto corporate landscape has changed dramatically. And we have seen an influx of traditional investors come into the space and, of course, also onto Binance. So just to give you a sense of the numbers, right, in Q4, the number of corporate applications increased by about 38% quarter over quarter. The total number of corporate clients that we have on the platform increased by about 70% year over year in 2020. What's interesting is that the new customer base is a very different demographic than from before. The new corporate clients consist of mainly family offices, corporates, and even some traditional funds coming in looking to buy Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, many for the very first time. So there's a very big educational element there, and it's very exciting to educate this new group of corporate investors and to get them involved in cryptocurrencies.
How would you describe the typical customer journey for a corporation that decides to do business with Binance? How long does it take to onboard? What kind of requirements do you have for corporate accounts? What kind of challenges do the new customers face, and how would you manage, or how do you suggest they manage those items?
Right. So we have a very diverse corporate customer base, as I mentioned. So depending on the customer, the journey could actually be quite different. But invariably, I like to always start the journey with a conversation with the client to understand things such as what's your background, what are your goals, and whether it's to let's say to set up a fully automated API connection to Binance to grow your own crypto business, or to find the most capital efficient way to actively trade on the exchange, or maybe simply just to learn more about Bitcoin, how to buy it using fiat currencies that you currently hold in your bank account, and how to store the tokens in a safe manner. So there are vastly different motivations. And once we understand your goals, then that's when we come in and offer you the products and services that best suit your needs. Once that is once that is clear, then the next step is to execute and get into things, right? So then we require the client to open a corporate account with us and submit the relevant documents. Typically, it's not that different from I'd say your standard cryptocurrency or banking onboarding process. Once submitted, the onboarding team will go through the due diligence and onboarding process. KYC and AML are very important to us, so we take it very seriously. But nonetheless, we do try to make the process as pain-free and as
how long does it normally take? Like, what's the shortest or the longest, time that I might expect as a company?
Right. That largely depends on the complexity of the corporate structure. So the simpler it is, then usually it's faster. Often, if we need to, if we can expedite it, then I'd say if all the documents are in order, a couple of days should not be a problem, or even faster. Generally, the delays are I would say usually caused by if we're waiting for documentation. So as long as the customer can provide all the documents, it can be done quite quickly.
Okay. What strategies do you see companies pursuing right now to differentiate their offerings via Bitcoin?
Right. There's it's quite interesting. What we're seeing is a gradual increase in companies that are accepting Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as a form of payment. Now, of course, credit cards are always going to be an integral part of. I wouldn't say always, but it's going to be there for quite some time. Integral part of the purchasing process in the digital age. But if you are offering a crypto payment gateway, that does offer an additional option to your customers. And how does that benefit you, right? Number one, generally it's going to be cheaper than credit card fees, which is a direct benefit to the company's top line. And number two, if from a treasury management perspective, if the company decides to accumulate cryptocurrencies over time, this does allow you to do that naturally through your revenue stream. Cryptocurrency does naturally flow into your to your accounts, and that can be one good way to just naturally accumulate over time in line with your revenues. Another trend that we're seeing is actually the opposite, where various channels and companies are providing a portal or an access for users to purchase cryptocurrencies from your platform, whether it's a website or your app. And for those who are interested in that, we do have a product and a team that can help. We'd be more than happy to have a chat to help you with the integration and work with various vendors to become your partners.
So you see a lot of companies that are OEMing Bitcoin acquisition into their product, and they're using your backend and your APIs to do that?
Yep, that's right. That's exactly right. So the process of setting this up from scratch can be quite time-consuming and quite expensive. You also have to figure out all the rails. You have to get the liquidity. So what better way to do that is than to actually access, go right to the source of those things earlier, to come to Binance. The API is already there, already set up, waiting for you. We can walk you through how to get connected. We have teams to work with you to discuss the solution. There will be support online to walk you through the process. That way, you already have, it's almost like a store-built, store-bought option, right? That you can just open out of the box, and you can use. That way, you can focus on, again, your product and leave the groundwork to us.
I've always been impressed by the Binance website and all the published APIs and all the education materials. I mean, it's very transparent. You could find all this stuff on a Saturday afternoon, without talking to anybody. And so it's kind of refreshing, very modern. Talking about products. Okay. What are your product plans for the future? What's your vision for your firm looking forward?
Right. So we see ourselves as an infrastructure provider in the industry, and we will continue to build as the industry grows. And just going to your earlier point about the education materials, when we talk about building, it's not just products for trading or services, but there is also a big educational element into it. So we have Binance Academy, we have Binance Research. These are all various publications that we will push out very regularly to educate users, both retail and institutional, on just cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin in general, and the latest trends, perhaps the new tokens that are coming out. So I do encourage everybody to pay attention to that, and there is a vast, there are a lot of resources there that folks can refer to. From the product side, back to trading products, let's say, we are driven by user demand. And what that means is sometimes it's a bit difficult for us to actually figure out where we're going to be in the future in a year's time. But what I can say is our strength is that we are actually very nimble. So when we see a particular need in the market, we're able to fill that gap very, very quickly. Just to give you a few examples, we saw a demand for derivatives. There's a growing demand for derivatives. So we built and came out with Binance Futures. And that we in about 6 months, we became the #1 futures platform after launch. So another example would be on the payment side. We did see a big need or strong demand, I'd say, for payment services. So the first solution we came out with was Binance Card, which is our credit card product. And now more recently, Binance Pay, which is another more, I'd say, a more ambitious payment platform solution for merchants. And also in the future, hopefully we also see this as a means for both corporates and retail to send assets to each other in a very efficient and safe and efficient way. I'd say in the near term, that the focus this year will definitely be to continue, amongst other things, to build out our institutional products with obviously seeing the large institutional demand coming in. So there are some developments I can say on the custody side as we explore potential custody solutions. But we'll have more information on that and other related products in due course. Those will be fleshed out and announced in more detail as the time comes.
You know, when you're dealing with institutions, I guess they could be buying the underlying Bitcoin, or they could be buying the derivatives or the futures. Do you have a sense of like their focus or their enthusiasm? Or are there certain types of institutions that lean toward futures and others that just buy the Bitcoin? Or is there a preference for one or the other?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say institutions and corporates who are coming in into and just learning about the space for the first time, in general, the spot or the actual Bitcoin is usually the first step. Once they have that, and they understand the process a little bit more, then they may start looking at some slightly more complicated products, although in the traditional finance sense, they may not be that much more complicated, but it is still an extra step up from actually holding Bitcoin itself. And then for derivative in the derivative space, what you'll see is usually more professional traders would tend to prefer to trade derivatives, and also teams and institutions that are maybe more sensitive to about capital efficiency, because by trading derivatives, you are able to apply leverage to your capital. At the same time, you want to be more educated and experienced about managing risk, given that there is that inherent leverage component. But for those who are able to manage this risk and understand this risk, what this allows them to do essentially is to take a larger view on Bitcoin, or even take the same view but apply less capital into Bitcoin, which allows them to spend or use that capital in other ways.
Okay. So let's talk about Bitcoin. What's your outlook for the Bitcoin marketplace for the coming 1 to 3 years?
Sure. I think the outlook is very, very positive. The market has currently grown to, it's a $1 trillion market, but it's still a drop in the bucket compared to traditional markets with, and I think there's still a lot of room to grow as traditional investors and corporates start allocating more of their treasury, more of the capital into the space. And I think what that means for Binance is we want to continue to build and to increase crypto adoption by lowering the barriers of entry and making it easier for new investors to come in. I think the role of exchanges here is actually very important, because many exchanges are seen as a fiat gateway, which is essentially the medium where your fiat currency is converted into cryptocurrency. This still remains as one of the more taxing roadblocks of traditional investors getting into cryptocurrency. And hopefully with our focus the past couple of months and going forward in offering more and more fiat currency support, we will make this we will be able to lower the barrier to entry for investors globally. So I joined Binance about 3 years ago, and just looking back, it's been a very, very exciting journey for me. Coming from trading, Binance is a 24/7 market. But cryptocurrency is a 24/7 market, and I always think that you go through 3 times as much in the crypto world than the traditional world, because every day in crypto is 3 sessions of equities trading in the traditional world, and everything just happens so quickly.
And you don't get Saturday and Sunday off either, by the way.
That's right. And there's Saturday and Sunday, so there's another 6 extra sessions over the weekends. Every morning, the first thing is check where the markets are. Just before you go to bed, you check where the markets are, because there's there's just so much going on, and the news, whatever, there's so much news that you just want to absorb and catch up on. I think we're still at the very early stages of this growth, and as the market matures, more and more innovations and financial tools will enter this market. And I guess in general, I'm just very excited to see what's to come.
Well, Vince, thanks for coming to share this with us today, and we appreciate it. And you have any final closing words for our audience?
I think first of all, I'm just really grateful to be here to share, as Michael is, to share this market, this industry with everybody. And I think we're really still at the early stages. I think there's a lot more to come, and you're here at a great time. And
awesome.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
And with that, onward to the next one. We'll see you in 4 or 5 more minutes for our next session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vince.